Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let's discuss pointers in C language. Now what exactly is a pointer? A pointer is a variable that stores the memory address of a different variable as its own value. Now what does that really mean? Now remember when we have variables inside of our computer, those variables are stored in some block of memory in our computer, right? But now what a pointer does is a pointer stores not a variable in this case, but then the address, the memory address or the location where another variable is stored instead of a memory. So let's see how that works exactly. Let's go into our code editor and begin to write some code. Include stdio.h. Learn about pointers in C language. Now our main function comes here, int main void. Now let's create a variable, int my number, or let's just say it's my number now. So now this variable currently contains no value, right? But the moment we say number equals 10, now this variable contains, it is stored in some block of memory inside of our computer. But now what a pointer does is a pointer stores the address, the location of that memory that this variable is stored. Now let's see how that works. First, let's try to get the address of a variable before creating a pointer. Let's know how to get the address of a variable. Let's say printf the address. Now this %p is because we're trying to print the value of a location, a pointer in this case, but let's forget about that for now. So we're using %p because we're trying to print an address. But now what is this hand really doing here? Now remember when we have, let's say, my variable here, my number here. Now this would say to be replaced with the value, right, of our variable. But when we use the hand logo, right, what this hand logo does is it checks for the address of the variable instead of trying to get the value of the variable. It gets the address of that variable, where is the variable located inside of our computer's memory. It goes ahead and returns that to us. Now let's see what happens when we run this code. Let me return 0. Now gcc main.c main. Now when I run my code after compiling successfully, run./main, you can see we have 0xf, 0x7ff, whatever. So this might look different in your own computer because we are on different devices and the variables will be stored in different blocks of memory, but you still have the same format because it's an address of a location in your computer. But what do we want to do with this now? How do we create a pointer using this information? Now let's go to that. To create a pointer variable, to initialize a pointer variable, you have to define the type of the variable that you'll be storing the address for. Now remember we have an integer, right, as a variable here, but now we want to store the pointer to that variable. So let's say int then star ptr. So this ptr is the name of our pointer, right? But then the star that is there is telling the computer that this is going to store an address because it's going to be a pointer. So it will be storing an address to another variable or another value. So right now it's not storing anything, but we've already told our computer that this variable, right, is going to be a pointer that points to an integer inside of our computer. So let's go ahead and see how to work with this. So now after defining our variable, we can go ahead and say, now we've known how to get the value of an address, right? So now let's say ptr equals and my number. Remember this and variable and my number returns the address of my number, right? So now the pointer should be storing the address of our variable right now. So let's try to print our pointer and see what happens. Printf now let's see how this works. So let me recompile my code, run./main. Now you see it's storing the same values, right? Because we successfully stored the address inside of our pointer. But now how do we use the pointer to get to the variable? Let's see how that works also. Now we already have the pointer storing the address, but now let's say, okay, my number instead. Now remember, when we try to print a variable, right, we use this same format, printf, then we pass the value, the name of the variable. But let's say we want to use the pointer instead. Let's use this instead. So we can say star ptr. So remember when we created the variable pointer here, we use star, right? That is just to tell the computer that this is going to be a pointer. But when we use the star in this case, we are trying to like get the location, get the variable that it's pointing to. So this it's dereferencing the pointer to us. It goes ahead to the pointer, checks the address, and then goes to the address to see what it contains. So this is like telling your mailman that, okay, this is the address I want to deliver this to. Go to the address and find me. The poster is there. So this checks our pointer, checks the address, and then goes to that location to check the variable that it contains, and then returns it back to us. So let's go ahead and compile our code and see what happens in this case. Let's say gcc main.c main. We have no errors, so now let's run /main. So now you can see we have the value of my number is 10, even though we actually passed the pointer instead of the number. So this star dereferences our pointer to us. So it goes ahead, checks the pointer, and then checks, okay, what is the address stored in this pointer. Then when it finds the address, which is 0x7ff in this case, it now goes ahead and checks the computer for this address. It finds the location of this address inside of our computer. Then after finding it, it goes ahead and check, okay, this is the address. What is this address contain? What is inside of this place? Then it goes ahead and checks, finds our variable, and then returns it back to us. That's how this works. Now let's go ahead and check how a pointer to a pointer actually works. We've learned how to use pointers now, but now let's learn how to use a pointer to a pointer. Now, if a pointer stores the value of a variable, the address of a variable, what will a pointer to a pointer store? To be storing the address of another pointer, right? So let's see how to create that. Let's say int ptr2. So now we are using 2 stars here because we are trying to store the address of another pointer. Now let's go ahead. Remember, we already said if you're trying to get the address of a variable, use the AND sign. So now when we say ptr2 equals AND ptr, we are getting the address of the first pointer and storing it in the second pointer. So that makes sense. Now let's try to print the value of ptr2, and let's try to dereference ptr2 also. Remember when I said when you use the star before a pointer, it dereferences the pointer, right? But now if it dereferences the pointer, how do we actually get like the variable we want when we have 2 pointers instead? So here we use 2 stars. So the first star gets to the first pointer, and the second star gets to the variable because we have 2 pointers in this case. Now let's run our code and see if we've not made any bugs. Compile, run. Now you see we have the address to the second pointer. This is the first pointer here, right? 0x7 whatever, and now we have 0x7f. That is slightly different. We have, you see, just here we have 85134. Here we have 85138. They are quite close in memory, right? So now we are storing the second pointer to the variable. So that's how this works. Thank you for watching the video. Please like my video and subscribe, and if possibly share to your friends also. I'll be sharing the link to the repository where this code is stored in the description, or the pinned comment actually of the video. Thank you for watching.